The tragedy of modern relationships is not that good people end up alone, it's that strong people end up surrounded by the weak.
You keep attracting broken people, energy vampires, and manipulators, while the healthy, balanced people seem to pass you by. This isn't bad luck. There's a specific psychological reason your Sigma traits act like a magnet for the exact wrong people. And once you understand why, you can finally break the cycle. As a Sigma male, you probably thought your independence and emotional strength would attract strong, healthy people. Instead, you find yourself constantly dealing with narcissists, codependents, fixers, and emotionally unstable individuals who won't leave you alone. Meanwhile, the secure, balanced people you'd actually want to know seem completely uninterested or barely notice you exist. Today, we're exposing the brutal truth about why your Sigma traits create a toxic attraction pattern and what you need to understand to finally attract the right people instead of the wrong ones. By the end of this video, you'll understand the psychological mechanism that's been sabotaging your relationships your entire life. Reason 1. Your emotional stability attracts chaos addicts. Here's the first brutal truth. Your calm, centered energy acts like a beacon for people who are drowning in emotional chaos. Ever notice how the most dramatic, unstable people seem to gravitate toward you? That's not coincidence. Your emotional regulation is exactly what chaos-addicted people are desperately seeking to stabilize themselves. Here's the psychological mechanism. According to attachment theory research, people who can't regulate their own emotions are unconsciously searching for someone who can. This phenomenon is called borrowed regulation. Your Sigma traits, emotional self-sufficiency, calm demeanor, steady presence, signal that you have what they lack. The specific types this attracts: women with unresolved trauma who see you as their healer, drama-addicted individuals who need your calm to balance their chaos, emotionally volatile people who use your stability as an anchor, crisis-prone individuals who want you to rescue them repeatedly, people who mistake your strength for an invitation to unload their problems. Why this creates a toxic pattern? These people aren't attracted to you. They're attracted to the emotional regulation service they think you'll provide. You become their unpaid therapist, emotional support animal, and crisis management system. Most people don't realize this, but chaos addicts can sense emotional stability from across a room. Your centered energy is like a lighthouse to people lost in their own emotional storms, and they'll crash into you seeking rescue. Here's what makes this devastating. These people often perform stability initially to get close to you. They seem fine at first, then gradually reveal the chaos once they think you are invested. By the time you see the pattern, you're already entangled. The deeper problem, your natural instinct to solve problems and your high tolerance for other people's emotions makes you stay longer than you should. What starts as compassion becomes enabling their refusal to do their own emotional work. Why healthy people don't approach? Emotionally stable people recognize your strength, but don't feel compelled to merge with it. They have their own regulation systems, so they don't experience the desperate need to attach to yours. Reason 2. Your mystery attracts people who need to fix or figure you out. Here's the second brutal truth. Your natural mystery and emotional privacy create an irresistible challenge for people with savior complexes. Ever notice how certain people become obsessed with understanding you or breaking through your walls? These aren't people who appreciate your privacy. These are people who see your boundaries as puzzles to solve. Here's the psychological mechanism. Your selective vulnerability and layered communication style trigger what psychologists call the fixer fantasy or rescuer complex. Research from codependency studies shows that certain people interpret your self-containment as hidden damage they're uniquely qualified to heal. The specific types this attracts: codependent women who need to feel needed through healing you, people with savior complexes who want to be the one who got through, Emotional archaeologists who see your privacy as buried trauma to excavate. Boundary pushers who interpret your limits as challenges to overcome. People who romanticize broken men and want to be your redemption. Why this creates a toxic pattern? These people aren't interested in who you actually are. They're interested in who they imagine you are beneath your walls. They fall in love with their projection, not your reality. Most people don't see this coming, but fixer types will initially respect your boundaries to gain trust, then gradually escalate their attempts to help you open up. They frame boundary pushing as care and concern when it's actually about their need to fix you. Here's what makes this devastating. When you don't have the damage they expected, or when you refuse to be their project, they often become resentful or lose interest. They wanted the drama of saving you, not the reality of respecting you. The deeper problem: your privacy isn't about hiding damage. It's about selective sharing based on earned trust. But fixers interpret any privacy as confirmation of wounds they need to heal. This fundamental misunderstanding poisons the relationship from the start. Why healthy people don't approach? Secure individuals respect boundaries without needing to conquer them. They're comfortable with gradual revelation and don't experience your privacy as a rejection or challenge.
Reason 3. Your competence attracts incompetent people seeking rescue. Here's the third brutal truth. Your obvious capability and problem-solving skills make you a target for people who refuse to develop their own competence. Ever notice how helpless people seem to find you in every area of your life? Your competence isn't just attractive, it's a vulnerability that incompetent people exploit. Here's the psychological mechanism. People who haven't developed life skills or problem-solving abilities are constantly seeking someone to outsource their adult responsibilities to. Your Sigma traits, self-sufficiency, resourcefulness, systematic thinking, signal that you can handle what they can't. The specific types this attracts: professionally stagnant people who want you to solve their career problems, financially irresponsible people who see you as their safety net, practically helpless individuals who need constant assistance with basic tasks, decision-paralyzed people who want you to make all their choices, chronic underachievers who want to ride your coattails. Why this creates a toxic pattern? These people don't want to learn from your competence, they want to extract it. You become their personal problem solver, and they become increasingly dependent while contributing nothing. Most people don't realize this, but incompetent people actively seek out highly competent partners because it allows them to avoid developing their own capabilities. Your strength enables their weakness. Your natural problem-solving instinct kicks in automatically when you see someone struggling. But with these people, solving their problems doesn't help them, it just makes them more dependent on you for the next problem. These relationships become parasitic. You're constantly giving time, energy, solutions, resources, while they're constantly taking. The imbalance grows until you're exhausted and they're entitled. Why healthy people don't approach? Competent individuals appreciate your capability, but don't need to exploit it. They have their own resources and see relationships as mutual enhancement, not one-directional rescue. Reason 4. Your non-judgment attracts people with severe character flaws. Here's the fourth brutal truth. Your naturally non-judgmental observation style makes you safe harbor for people with serious ethical or character problems. Ever notice how people with questionable morals seem comfortable around you? Your tendency to observe without immediate judgment creates space that problematic people abuse rather than appreciate. Here's the psychological mechanism. Most people face social consequences for bad behavior because others judge and reject them. But your Sigma trait of observing before judging gives them breathing room they interpret as acceptance of their flaws. The specific types this attracts: people with flexible ethics who test your boundaries constantly, manipulators who see your patience as naivete to exploit, compulsive liars who mistake your observation for belief, users who interpret your non-judgment as permission to take advantage, toxic people who've been rejected elsewhere and see you as their last option. Why this creates a toxic pattern? Your non-judgment isn't acceptance, it's information gathering. But problematic people misinterpret your observation period as approval, which emboldens their bad behavior. Most people don't see this coming, but character-flawed individuals specifically seek out non-judgmental people because they can operate longer before facing consequences. Your patience gives them extended access to exploit. Here's what makes this devastating. By the time you've observed enough to reach a judgment, you're often already invested in the relationship. And when you finally enforce boundaries, they're shocked because they thought your observation meant acceptance. The deeper problem, your high tolerance for difference and your judge by patterns, not single incidents approach, means you give too many chances to people who are showing you exactly who they are from the start. Why healthy people don't approach? People with solid character don't need a non-judgmental safety zone. They're comfortable being evaluated because they have nothing to hide. Your observation period doesn't attract them specifically. Reason 5. Your independence attracts clingy, dependent people. Here's the fifth brutal truth. Your self-sufficiency acts like a magnet for people who have zero independence of their own. Ever notice how the neediest people won't leave you alone? Your independence doesn't repel dependent people, it attracts them because they're looking for someone strong enough to carry both people in the relationship. Here's the psychological mechanism. Dependent people are unconsciously seeking someone who won't need anything back. Your sigma independence signals that you won't burden them with needs, which makes you the perfect host for their parasitic attachment style. The specific types this attracts: emotionally dependent people who can't function without constant connection, socially clingy individuals who have no life outside of relationships, identityless people who need to merge with someone strong, approval-addicted individuals who need constant reassurance, people who can't make decisions without external input. Why this creates a toxic pattern? Your independence should create balanced relationships where both people are whole. Instead, it attracts people who see your strength as permission to be weak. Most people don't realize this, but dependent people are specifically attracted to overfunctioners. They know you'll pick up all the slack they leave, so they don't have to develop their own strength. Here's what makes this devastating. These relationships follow a predictable pattern. The more independent you are, the more dependent they become. Your strength doesn't inspire them to be stronger, it enables them to be weaker. The deeper problem? Your tolerance for solitude means you don't immediately notice when someone is becoming excessively clingy. By the time their dependence becomes obvious, they're already deeply attached and resistant to change. Why healthy people don't approach? Independent people are looking for partners, not parents. They don't experience your self-sufficiency as an invitation to offload their adult responsibilities.
The meta pattern. What connects all these wrong people? Ever notice what connects all these wrong people? They're all seeking to take something from you rather than build something with you. Chaos addicts want your emotional regulation. Fixers want your mystery to solve. Incompetent people want your problem solving. Character-flawed people want your non-judgment. Dependent people want your independence to lean on. Here's the meta pattern. Your sigma strengths are being exploited as resources rather than appreciated as qualities. These people don't want you, they want what you provide. Most people don't see this coming, but the very traits that make you attractive to the wrong people are the same traits that make you invisible to the right people. The brutal truth. Healthy people don't experience compulsive attraction to your traits because they don't need what you're offering. Toxic people experience obsessive attraction because they're desperately seeking what they lack. Here's the part nobody talks about.
Healthy, balanced people aren't aggressively pursuing anyone. They're content with their own lives, selective about relationships, and patient about finding genuine compatibility. They don't experience the urgent need to attach that toxic people feel. This creates an asymmetry where toxic people flood your life while healthy people remain at a respectful distance. The solution: change your screening process. Here's what you need to understand. You can't change what attracts toxic people, but you can change how quickly you recognize and reject them. The solution isn't dimming your Sigma traits, it's developing faster screening mechanisms. Screen for chaos addiction. Notice how people handle their own emotions in the first few interactions. Screen for fixer mentality. Notice whether people respect your privacy or try to push past your boundaries. Screen for incompetence. Notice whether people handle their own responsibilities. Screen for character flaws. Don't give endless chances to people showing red flags. Screen for dependence. Notice whether people have their own full lives. The key insight: the wrong people reveal themselves quickly if you're watching for these patterns. The problem is that your Sigma patience and tolerance make you ignore red flags longer than you should. Here's the hope. The same traits that attract toxic people can attract healthy people if you actively screen for quality. The right person will appreciate your stability without exploiting it, respect your mystery without obsessing over it, and admire your competence without depending on it. These people exist. They're just not aggressively pursuing you the way toxic people are. This means you need to be more proactive in identifying and engaging with healthy people while being more aggressive in rejecting toxic people early. Your Sigma traits aren't the problem. The problem is that you're not screening aggressively enough at the beginning and you're tolerating problematic behavior too long once it appears. Stop being passively receptive to whoever approaches you. Start being actively selective about who gets access to your energy, time, and life. Your traits are valuable. Stop giving them to people who don't deserve them. If this video explained a toxic pattern you've been stuck in for years, drop a comment below with the word pattern and tell me which type of wrong person you attract most often. Remember, you're not attracting wrong, you're screening wrong. Fix the filter, change your life. Until next time, be ruthlessly selective.